about the women's 800? Kate Grace.
Yeah. Kate
Goes
Grace.
full on redemption mode, just takes a bat to her PB, was 7th at trials, goes out, runs 157.59, number 9 American in history. Just ran like someone who has absolutely nothing to lose over that last 200, beat the world champion, Halima Nakai of Uganda in the process. She's only been in Norway. Like, she just flew right after the trials. Trials did not end that long ago. That's not that short of a trip. There was every reason for her to struggle in this first race over there. But yeah, I think it just demonstrates what you can do when the pressure's off, the fitness is there, and you don't really have any sort of expectations going in a race, whether or not she got first or last, right? It was just about the experience of racing, and she took full advantage of that.
Yeah, it reminded me of I went to Europe a few years ago, and it's always interesting when you're in Europe after USA's and you see a lot of athletes who aren't on the world team, but they're out there on the Diamond League circuit, the smaller races circuit, and you kind of see what their vibe is like, because it's like, well, they built up all this fitness. You build up all this fitness, and you don't want to waste it just because you're not going to the big dance, aka Worlds or Olympics. You want to do something with it. And so a lot of times the opposite, you think not making a team is going to make you want to just react negatively and kind of just get out of shape. But in a weird way, it kind of says, well, I have nothing else to care about. I might as well make these next 2.5 months worth something. And that's where you get a lot of PBs. Molly Beckwith, after I think she got 4th at trials or something like that, she goes out and runs 158 in Paris. And I was like, she was like a 159 runner her entire career. And then she runs 158 that one time. It kind of reminds me of this with Kate Grace. She's continuously 159, 158, and now just had a big breakthrough with not just running a PB, an all-time top 10 mark in the U.S. history, but also winning a competitive race that had the literal defending world champion in it. So it's not like she beat a bunch of 2 flat college kids. She beat the world champion. So it means more than that. And hey, I'm going to say this. Why?
Oh no!
Is top? I'm going to say it. Why is top 3?
Are we talking about 3 Olympic trials again?
Why is no? Why is a country only allowed to send 3 people?
Are we really doing this right now?
We are doing it. Why? What's the reason? Are we truly crowning? I mean, I guess technically, if you couldn't be top 3 in your country, that means the best you would have been at Worlds is 4th. But the idea that I was looking at some descending order list, and you see people who will be the 100th best athlete who now get to go to the Olympics because there were 20 Kenyans ahead of them. There were 10 British athletes ahead of them, 15 US athletes. And it's
yeah, but this isn't new. This isn't new. This has been going on forever. And you could play the same game to keep American athletes out of events too, especially in decades past when the US was not that strong.
Does the Wimbledon say only 3 can come? Does the Masters say only 3 Americans can come? No,
but tennis at the Olympics does, and that's what this is. This is the Olympics. So you should compare the Olympics to the Olympics. The US doesn't enter 3 basketball teams in the Olympics, and they can't enter 10 tennis players and have Italy enter 1. It's the Olympics. I get what you're saying.
Olympics. It's the
world champion.
No, you can't say that. World Championship.
You should be complaining about this for the World Championships, but that doesn't happen until next year. So save this rant for next year, Eugene 2022, and then you can.
It applies across the board.
Yeah, you want to see the best. You want the top 48. If there's 48 slots, you want to be the 48 fastest people, regardless of country. Yeah, but that's not what the Olympics are about. The Olympics are about.
What are the Olympics about?
Mass participation amongst countries. It's about representing the entire world or getting as close as you can. I'm not saying.
So when you win an Olympic title, are you I am the winner of a mass participation country award? No, you say you're the best in the freaking world and you beat everyone that was in the world. You don't say I won the Olympics, aka what I don't even know what I'm saying, but you know what I'm trying to say is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. No, I don't know what Shake. Listen, did she have a fair chance to get on the team? Do all these people have a fair chance to get on the team? I think they did.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
and it
and
didn't happen. So if
I'm
you
not
can't,
ups-
if you can't be third in the U.S., then you're not there. If you can't be top three in your country, you can't be there. Is that going to exclude worthy, deserving people? Sure, but it also means that the games go on without you, and you are able to say that you're the best in the world. It's two parts, right? It's crowning the best in the world, but it's also putting a little bit of balance towards making sure there's representation throughout the world. That's the goal.
but
I'm
it's an
not going to sit.
athletic competition, not a representation competition.
Well, it's both in a way, right? I mean, you don't. I don't know. When you do high school competitions, things are broken down by sections and leagues and stuff like that too, right? That's about, you still say you're the state champion, even though there was a person in your league who could have moved on and won your district and then moved on to state. Like there has to be a limitation at some point if you want some sort of diversity
No,
amongst
not all
the
states are like that.
competition.
Some states have auto times.
But
My
there's
state,
always
Pennsylvania,
people.
had auto time.
Well, don't get me started on Pennsylvania and their sports recent history. All right, let me just no. I'm saying you're what you want is like you have the Diamond League. That's what you have.
Yeah,
You have the Diamond League champion. So be happy with the Diamond League. That's what you're going to get. It's different than the Olympics. I think the Olympics crowns the best person. Do they crown the best eighth place person?
no,
Maybe not.
absolutely not.
Do they crown the best 15th best person? Probably not. And the perfect example is something like the marathon, where you have a huge amount of
Yeah.
people concentrated in one or two countries. Something like the 800 is a little more spread out. If you look at like what countries are represented in the 800, it's globally
Yeah,
diverse. So that's a little bit different. But I like that you came up with just a completely ridiculous
it's
take
not
here. Even though,
ridiculous.
I mean, Travis isn't
People in
here
the
to clip
chat,
this.
I feel
So,
like people in the chat probably agree with me, or maybe they don't. I never read the chat, so I don't know. But I
someone
think,
said, "Is Gordon the one in blue? Does he always say rubbish?" That's what John just said. Good use of the word rubbish there. I like. I had to look down at my shirt. Okay, I'm wearing white, so I'm good. Uh no, listen. I agree. I mean, anybody who looks at the world lists knows this. I looked it up this morning just because I was looking at the world rankings. I was just curious. I think 11 U.S. men are ranked higher in the 100 than the first Jamaican man. That's world rankings. That's not using times, but I think it would be somewhere
yeah,
close to that, right? So you could play this game, all day, but then there was a time before when U.S. people would have been completely excluded from events too. So I think it's a kind of an fun part of the sport to track these sort of situations where people have disappointments at trials and then get on a plane right away and then just have
yeah,
at it in Europe. I mean, the obvious, most recent example would have been Kenny Harrison in the high hurdles in 16, going and break the
yeah.
world record. All right. Adelia says Gordon has a very high view of the chat, or low.
I don't know.
Oh man, I like how you said people in the chat agree with me after not looking at the chat at all. That's a good
I don't know. I'm
fallback.
just assuming. I'm just hoping.
I'm
Like
I'm
maybe.
I'm I'm clicking back and forth in the chat. Gordon doesn't look at the rundown. He doesn't look at the chat, guys.
No, I don't look at anything. I just look at you, Kevin. I just look at you.
Siobhan
Come
also
on.
says, Gordon, we don't agree. I think you just fired up the people in the chat.
All right,
They're taking
whatever.
offense to the fact you're trying to put words in their mouth. Okay. Yeah. So we can talk about this in 2022.